to my channel. It's Tarina from T.E.R Teachers Consultancy. Today I'm going to talk about what is it like as a single parent-ish teaching and living here in the UAE. So I decided to make this video because a lot of persons have been asking me if they should take their children to the UAE when they get a job offer, or should they wait a few months until they get settled. So this is a decision that you guys have to make. You know, it's a personal decision, it's a family decision, but I would recommend that once the school is offering you a family package, you know, in terms of location, tuition and all of that, go ahead, take your children. So this video is basically about what is it like living in the UAE, teaching in the UAE as a single parent-ish. And I said single parent-ish because you know that I'm married, but I'm the only parent living here in the UAE. So I'm basically, you know, I juggle the single parent-ish thing for now. So when I moved here to the UAE back in 2017, my first school, they did not offer family accommodation or tuition. They were only giving tuition like 25% of the tuition. And if you have done your research, you will know that tuitions here in the UAE are very expensive. Very expensive, okay? So if a school is not giving full tuition or even 50% of the tuition, it is going to be very expensive for you to bring your children and then enroll them in school, and they have to be in school. Either they are registered in one of the accredited schools or online program, meaning homeschooling, and that must be accredited by the government as well, or approved by the government. So you have to take that into consideration as well. Tuition will be very expensive. So it's always good when you are looking for a job, look at the benefits. See if the schools will offer you tuition, if they're offering you family accommodation. When you're renting an apartment here, it will be expensive because owners usually ask for 1 year rent. Some will ask for 2 checks or 3 checks, depending on the person. So that's another thing that you have to, you know, take into consideration. If the school is not providing your family accommodation or allowance to cover the rent, you would have to foot that bill yourself. So this is why I waited 1 year before I took my family, my girls here with me to the UAE in 2018, because I couldn't, you know, we could have made the sacrifice to stay in the 1 bedroom, but the school wouldn't allow it. You understand? So it wasn't about the space, it was just about their policy. I've just started my 5th year here in Abu Dhabi, and as a parent, single parent-ish, it has been rough in terms of not having that support from my husband, physical support, that's what I mean, because we talk every day, you know, many times for the day in terms of video calling. You know, since the pandemic we are all into Zoom and all of that, so we do talk a lot, we do make a lot of phone calls, and whatever important decisions, you know, we talk about it over the phone, come to a conclusion. But you know that you need that your partner with you, your spouse with you, that person to be there physically to help you to get through you know, daily routine, just live, just to live. You need that person. When you have children, many persons have been doing it alone, you know, single parents, meaning that either they are divorced or the spouse died or whatever the case is, you know, they have been doing it alone. But it's not easy. It is not easy. Okay? Think about it. If you bring your children here, depending on the age, they would have to be in preschool or daycare while you are at work, or you have to get a nanny. So you have to think about that cost as well. All right? As for me, my girls have a like 7 years age gap, so they were able to, you know, babysit each other, take care of themselves. You know, my oldest is 18, the other one is 11. So when it comes to supervision, my 18-year-old, she's okay. She can take care of her little sister. But when the little one was in grade 3 and she was coming home from school on the bus, my other daughter would have to be outside in the evening to receive her from the bus, okay? Because it's one of the policies here, safety policies. They will not let the little ones off the bus unless someone is out there to receive them. All right, so you have to take these things into consideration. Transportation to school, you would have to cover that. You would also have to cover uniforms for your children, and let me see what transportation is at. About 3,500 dirhams the last time I checked. About 3,500 dirhams for the term. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. That's an extra cost, you know, plus tuition if you're not getting tuition from the school. But if you're getting tuition or schooling, they will cover tuition, books, and registration. So you would have to cover uniforms and transportation to and from school. Okay, and when it comes to transportation here, the schools are very strict and they have a lot of policies, so you have to be on top of that. Okay, so I have a designated driver for my daughter now, and something happened the other day and he was unable to pick her up, so I had to get a taxi. So we made arrangements with the taxi to pick her up and drop her off. So he dropped her off at school. In the evening when I was in a meeting, she called me and said, Mom, I'm still at school. That was like half an hour after school closed. The driver forgot to pick her up. So these little things, it will happen. You understand me? So, you know, it would be good if you have somebody else, you know, back you up, support you. You know, you can say, all right, remember to call the taxi to pick up, you know, the little one. Remember to call the taxi and so on. So these little things, you have to take that into consideration when you are planning on taking your children. I know this conversation is a little all over the place, but you can always pause the video and you can watch it again and you can take your notes, all right? So when you're planning on taking your family to the UAE, remember, unless you're a male teacher and the school will sponsor everybody, if you're a female, you would have to do the sponsoring, okay? You would have to get their tourist visas and book the flights and all of that. Flights are very expensive here. I booked a ticket for my husband a few weeks ago and it cost around 1,500 US dollars. Yeah, 1,500 US dollars. And that was a good deal, all right? Because sometimes we can pay up to 1,700 or 1,800 US dollars, depending on when you book the ticket. So keep that in mind. When you're taking your family, you have to think about the traveling costs, tickets, and visas, okay? When you arrive into the UAE with your children, you now would have to think about processing their documents in terms of getting their Emirates ID and their visa, their residency visa stamped in their passport. So that will cost you, again, that's another money you have to think about, all right? And if you're bringing your spouse, then you would have to pay for medical for your spouse. And you know, so once you move around up and down, that's a taxi fare. So think about these little money. Am I saying not to take your family? No. I'm just letting you know of, you know, what to expect in terms of you being here alone if you're a single parent. And even if you're not a single parent, once you're bringing your family, you know, say money I go spend. So you have to have a budget, you know, have your budget, have some funds with you until you get your first salary. All right. Another thing is that when you arrive, you will get some little goodies in terms of snacks and juice and milk and all of that. A little toiletries as a welcome gift from the school, right? So, when you're coming with your family, it's best if you have, things that you use, your personal stuff in terms of where you're used to your favorite, whatever. Make sure you have those things. But keep in mind that it will make settling in a little easier. Okay, so being a single parent-ish living in the UAE, things get a little stressful when you are alone, but depends on where you live, depends on the school, and if you make friends, then you will know you will have support outside of your partner. You will have support, because I know of persons like myself. I can call people, I can say, can you watch my kids, if I need to do it. As I said before, because of the age um, difference, that's okay. My girls can stay with each other, they can take care of each other. But I've what do you call it, babysat. I've watched my friends' kids or co-workers' kids before, while they, take care of business or go on dates or whatever it is. So yes, once you have friends and, our co-workers that, become friends, you will have some support. All right. There's always a community of people. There's always a community. Some communities are very close, some not so close, but you will find support. All right. So when you're taking your children, just consider the fact that it's not going to be easy the first couple of weeks or months, but you'll get there. It will smooth itself out. You understand me? The kids, depending on the school, maybe they will have to stay home a week or two until you get their paperwork ready in terms of enrolling them in school. Yep. Yes. Sometimes it takes. I think my girls stayed home a week and a couple days, until I could get them in school. And thank God I met this beautiful lady. She has been such a sweetheart to me. I met her at church, and she lived here in my area, and she was able to take them to school for me in terms of getting them registered. I just did the paperwork online. I did my part online by sending emails and so on, but she was the one who took them to school and to make sure that everything is okay and they got settled in. So you will find people, but it can be stressful, but you will make it. You understand what I mean? It was stressful, it's not going to be a bed of rose, but once this is a decision that you have made, and on the family level as well, make sure that everybody in your family agree to this thing, man. Because if everybody not agree, it's going to be problem. There are going to be problems. All right, so make sure everybody is on board with the relocation, and you have an idea of what is to come. All right, so you're going to think about getting a nanny, maybe, or putting the child into preschool, or just getting somebody to watch your kids until you get sorted out, until you get them in school. All right, because the kids, they will reach home about 3 o'clock, and then you, if you're as a teacher, you'll reach home about 3:30, 4 o'clock, depending on the distance, how far you live from the school. As for me, it takes me almost 1 hour to reach home. All right, but as I said, my kids can take care of themselves. What if you're coming, you have one child and that child is a toddler? So think about getting a nanny. One of the good things is that here in Abu Dhabi, in the UAE, there are a lot of persons who are looking jobs in terms of babysitting or being a nanny, because you have some wives, they're here on their husband's contract, they're not working. You understand? So some of them will be happy to take care of your child. You have a little cost, of course, a little fee, yeah. The hustle them also. So or you can go to an agency, you can register and you can get a nanny. So think about it. Make a budget. Think about rent if the school does not give family accommodation. Think about that. Think about flights and visas and processing the residency visa, getting the Emirates IB, enrolling your kids in school, getting uniforms. Yeah, we used to it at Jamaica, but you know, if you're like me, you will have support. You understand me? If I, even some good church sister, you will have support. But you will have it here in the UAE. But because it's a new country, it will take a while and it can be very stressful. But keep God first, you know. Stay positive and remember why you decided to do this. Keep your why in, you know, in the forefront. Don't forget why you are doing this, and it will be great. My experience may not be yours. It will totally will be different from yours, but make the best of your experience. All right? Take care and see you next time.